What is CodeIgniter? CodeIgniter is an open source PHP web application development framework that allows developers to create dynamic websites quickly and easily. It provides a rich set of libraries and tools that simplify common web development tasks and follow the model view controller architecture pattern. Next, what are the features of CodeIgniter? Lightweight and fast performance MVC architecture for separation of concern, built-in security feature and protection against common web attacks, large community support and extensive documentation, user-friendly and easy to learn, powerful set of libraries and helpers for common tasks, database abstraction and easy to use query builder, URL routing and clean and search engine friendly URL, form validation and error handling. Next question. What is the latest version of CodeIgniter? As of my knowledge, cut off September 21st, the latest version of CodeIgniter was version 4.1.3, which was released on August 18, 21st. Next question. What are the system requirements to run CodeIgniter? OpenSL, SSL, PDO, MB string, tokenizer, XML. Next, how do you install CodeIgniter? Download the latest version of CodeIgniter from the official website. Extract the download zip file to directory on your web server. Configure your web server to point the extracted directory as the web root. Set up the database for your application and configure the database setting in the app configure database PHP file. Customize your application body by modifying the various configuration files, creating controller view and models, and adding any necessary third-party libraries. Test your application to make sure it working as expected. More detailed installation instruction can be found in the CodeIgniter user guide. Next question. How do you create a controller in CodeIgniter? First, navigate to the app controller directory in your CodeIgniter installation. Create a new PHP file with a name that matches the name of your controller class. In the new PHP file, define your controller class, which should extend the CodeIgniter controller class. Next, model in CodeIgniter. A model is a class that represents the data and the logic that operate on that data. It typically handles database interactions such as fetching, inserting, updating, and deleting record models used to separate the business logic from the presentation logic in the application, and they are typically invoked by controllers to perform that operation. CodeIgniter models are designed to be lightweight and easy to use with a minimal amount of configuration required. Next, what is a view in CodeIgniter? A view is a template file that contains the HTML markup language presentation logic for displaying data to the user. Views are typically generated by controllers which pass data from models to view using variable or arrays. View can include PHP code to dynamic generate HTML, and they can also include help function to perform common tasks such as formatting dates or generating links. CodeIgniter views are designed to be simple and flexible, allow developers to easily create custom layout and reusable components. Next, how do you load a model in CodeIgniter? You can load a model in CodeIgniter by using the load method of CodeIgniter super object, and the method is available in controller viewer and their CodeIgniter classes. Replace model. Next, helper in CodeIgniter. A helper is a collection of functions that can be loaded and used throughout your application. Helpers can be used to perform common tasks such as generating HTML, working with dates, and formatting text. CodeIgniter provides a set of built-in helpers, and you can also create your own custom helper. Helper can be loaded using the helper function, which is available in controllers view and other CodeIgniter classes. To load a helper, you would use the following syntax. Here is the PHP code. Replace helper name with the name of helper you want to load. Once a helper is loaded, its function become available for use throughout your application. Next question. Library in CodeIgniter. A library is a collection of tasks that can be used to perform specific tasks such as sending email, working with session, and processing image. CodeIgniter provides a set of built-in libraries, and you can also create your own custom libraries. Libraries can be loaded using the library function, which is available in controllers view and other CodeIgniter classes. To load a library, you would use the follow syntax. Here is the code. Replace library name with the name of library you want to load. Once a library is loaded, you can use its method to perform tasks in your application. You can access library method using the standard PHP syntax. Here is the syntax code. Next, how do you load a helper in CodeIgniter? Next, how do you load a library in CodeIgniter? You can load a library in CodeIgniter by using the method of CodeIgniter's super object. The library method is available in controllers view and other CodeIgniter class. Load a library in a controller. For example, you would use the following syntax PHP code and replace library name with the name of library you want to load. Once the library is loaded, you can use its method to perform task in your application. Next, URL in CodeIgniter. URI stand for Union Research Identifier. It's referred to the part of URL that comes after the base URL and identifies a specific resource on the server. In CodeIgniter, the URI is used to determine which controller and method should be called to handle a particular request. CodeIgniter uses a segment-based approach to URI, where each segment corresponds to a part of the URI separated by slash. The first segment identifies the controller, the second segment identifies the method, and any additional segment are used as parameter for the method. Here is the example. And the next question, routing in CodeIgniter. Routing is a process of mapping URI to a specific controller and method in your application. By default, CodeIgniter uses segment-based approach to routing, where each segment of the URI corresponds to a part of the controller and method that should be called to handle the request. CodeIgniter allows to define custom routing rules in your routes PHP file, which is located in the application configuration directory. You can use routing rules to map specific URI to different controllers and method, or to specify default controller and method of your application. Routing can be used for creating user-friendly URLs, organizing your code base, and implementing complex URL structure. By defining custom routing rules, you can make your application URLs more descriptive and meaningful to user, while also making it easier to manage and maintain your code. Next question, how do you define a route in the CodeIgniter? You define a route by using the root.php file, which is located in the application configuration directory. To define a route, you need to use the root method of the root arrays. The root method takes two parameters, the URI you want to match and the controller and method you want to map it to. For example, PHP code. And next, what is a hook in CodeIgniter? A hook is a point in the application execution flow where you can tap into the modify the behavior of framework. Hooks allow you to run custom build at a specific point during the application request response cycle, such as before or after controller method is executed or before the output is sent to the browser. Hook can be useful for performing task link logging, authentication, modifying the output, or modifying the behavior of the framework itself. Hooks are defined in the application configure hooks.php file, and you can enable or disable on a environment basic using the application configuration.php file. CodeIgniter provides a number of built-in hooks that you can use, as well as the ability to define your own custom hooks. To use a hook, you need to define it in the hook PHP file and specify a function to run at the hook point. The function can define a helper file, a library file, a custom file. Igniter. A session is a mechanism for storing data across multiple requests and pages of your application. A session allow to allow you to store data such as user information, preference, or shopping cart items and retrieve it later when needed. CodeIgniter uses the PHP session variable to manage session. When you start a session, CodeIgniter create a unique session ID for the user and store it in a cookie on the user computer. This session ID is used to retrieve the session data when needed. You can store data in session using the set user data method of the CodeIgniter session library and retrieve it using the data user data method. You can also remove data from a session using the unset data user data method. Session can be useful for creating a personalized experience for user, remembering user preference and maintaining user data across multiple pages of your application. Next, how do you create a session in CodeIgniter? Here is the code of session in CodeIgniter. And next, how do you destroy a session in CodeIgniter? You can destroy a session in CodeIgniter using the sesDestroy method of the session library. This method removes all session data and destroy the session ID quickly. To destroy a session, you can simply call the sesh method in your CodeIgniter. Here is the code, and once the method is called, the session data is removed and session ID is destroyed. This means that the user session is completely ended and any stored data will be lost. It is important to note that destroying a session should be done with cache. Flush data in CodeIgniter. Flush data is a type of session data that is only available for next request and then it is automatically removed. Flash data is useful for storing message or status update that you want to show the user after a certain action has been performed, such as after a form submission or a login attempts. Next question. What is a database configuration in the CodeIgniter? Database configuration in CodeIgniter refer to the process of setting up the necessary information to connect to a database such as host name, username, password, database name, and other relevant details. The information is stored in configuration file called database.php, which is located in the application configuration directory of your CodeIgniter project. In database PHP file, you can define multiple database connections, each with their own settings. CodeIgniter uses the configuration setting in this file to establish a connection to the database when required. The database configuration file is typically populated with the following information: host name, the server name or PHP IP address where the database resides, username, password, database, DB driver, DB prefix, pconnect, DB debug. You can also define additional database connection setting in the database PHP file as needed. Next question. What are the active record classes in CodeIgniter? CodeIgniter has a set of active record classes that provide a simplified and more secure way of building and executing database queries. These active record classes include, and you can read this. How do you retrieve data from the database in CodeIgniter? To retrieve data from the database in CodeIgniter, you can use the query builder class or write custom SQL queries. Here is the example using the query builder class. And how do you update data in the database in CodeIgniter? To update data in a database in CodeIgniter, you can use the query builder class or write custom SQL queries. Load the data. How do you delete data from database in CodeIgniter? To delete data from the database in CodeIgniter, you can use the query builder classes or write custom SQL queries.